Good evening, viewers, and welcome to the last day of the celebration of International Bear Day and to this lecture series of Bears of India, which is organized by Wildlife and Conservation Biology Research Lab and Vadodara Wildlife Division. And the event is supported by Century Nature Foundation, Corbett Foundation, and IUCN Bear Specialist Group. Today is the last day, day 5, and today we'll have 3 different talks, which is on the conservation and research activity on sloth bear and other bear species. Friends, during all this talk on the 4 different species of bears in India, you might have noticed that the prime issue with the bear conservation is the human bear conflicts, and the most of the human bear conflicts is occurred through the species called sloth bear. Sloth bear are found in more than 175 protected areas of India, but apart from these protected areas, sloth bear are also found in some non-protected areas or in the territorial forest, which are very close to the human habitat, and that is why there is a chance that sloth bear comes towards the human area, human settlement, village, and there is a chance of sloth bear attacks on human, or the human may attack on the sloth bear, and on both the cases, both sloth bear and human are at threat. So we have today one lecture on the rescue operation of sloth bear, because we know that rescuing a tiger or rescuing a leopard or rescuing a lion is a different than rescuing a sloth bear. So we have with us Dr. Swapnil Sonwane. He is from Amravati, Maharashtra. And Swapnil is basically an Ayush doctor. He is Ayurveda doctor, but by passion, he is a very good wildlife rescuer. So we have Swapnil here with us, who has developed many protocols for rescuing sloth bear in Maharashtra. He is giving training to the Maharashtra Forest Department and forest staff of Maharashtra Forest Department for the rescue of leopard as well as of sloth bear. And Swapnil will talk about the dealing with the sloth bear when the sloth bear is in distress. So we'll have a talk from Swapnil. After that, we have the another talk by Dr. Prachi Thatte. Prachi is again member of the sloth bear expert team, and she will be talking about the advanced research technology like genetics. So how genetics can be helpful in the bear research, bear population abundance and bear population management. So she will talk about it. I will tell about Prachi after Swapnil's talk. So we'll have these 2 talks, and finally I'll conclude this day by giving you some highlight about our conservation program that we are running in Gujarat. So let us have a first talk by Dr. Swapnil Swanwane. I welcome Dr. Swapnil on behalf of all the organizers and behalf of all of you viewers. And let us have a talk from Swapnil. Please, Swapnil.
Hello friends, and welcome to this webinar. First of all, I would like to thanks WCCB Research Lab, Vadodara Wildlife Division, IUCN BS Specialist Group, Corbett Foundation, and Century Nature Foundation for organizing such a beautiful opportunity to interact with all the sloth bear lovers like you. And I would like to welcome my respected seniors in sloth bear research field, who have initially, when we started our field, so they guided us to uh, gain knowledge and work in this field, like Dr. Nishit Dharia, Dr. Harendra Bargli, Satyan Kumar sir, and others. Along with them, we welcome all the research field workers, all my colleagues, and Sloth Beer caretakers. First of all, I would like to wish you a very happy Beer Day, and thank you for being a part of this mega celebration of this event, which is organized by all these partners. Today, we will be discussing how to deal with human sloth bear conflict and how to deal with rescuing the conditions in which we have to rescue sloth bear in distress. Hello, friends. I am Dr. Swapnil Sonone from Maharashtra, a member of IUCN Bear Specialist Group, and also working as a full-time trainer for rapid response units from the Maharashtra Forest Department. As you know, friends, there is a steep rise in the human sloth bear conflict incidents all over India, with sloth bear being ranked second in animal species which are responsible for human wildlife conflict, which are ultimately leading to either human casualties or threat to wildlife. So the topics to be discussed today are understanding behavior and ecology of sloth bear. We have the we have to understand the species which we have to rescue. Today we will be discussing about leopards and sloth bear in central India, understanding the unseen story behind the conflict scene, starting awareness generation and involvement of community for a better coexistence with bears, identifying the cause of sloth bear for being near human dominated landscapes, establishing and strengthening RRU means rapid response units, and lastly, formation of PRTs or primary response team at village level. Friends, understanding behavior and ecology of sloth bear is very important if you are dealing with sloth bear while you are rescuing the sloth bear. So any animal which we have to rescue, first we have to know the behavior and ecology of that animal. So while dealing with sloth bears, we have to understand the behavior and ecology of the sloth bear. So this point is very well covered by my senior and colleague, Dr. Harendra Bargli. So we won't speak and repeat that points again. So we will just move on to the next slide. If we have to understand the species we have to rescue, considering the central India, we mainly have to deal with sloth bears and leopards, and occasionally in Maharashtra tigers, and in some area with wild elephants. But mainly we have to deal with leopard and sloth bear. So we will just have a comparative study to understand the behavior and ecology. What is the difference between behavior of leopard and sloth bear? The first point is camouflage appearance. As you almost know, that leopard is well camouflaged and a very still and secretive animal. This photograph is from Sanjay Gandhi National Park, Mumbai, Maharashtra. As you must be seeing, that leopard is in front, and in background you can see a flat system. So leopards are such a beautiful, stealth and secretive animal that they live in human dominated area so easily without being detected. But comparatively, our sloth bear doesn't have that much camouflage, and presence is always noted by its movement. So while dealing with these two animals in different conditions, we have to keep in mind the camouflage appearance of these animals. Then use of area or the territory, we can say. Leopard is a territorial animal and sloth bear is a non-territorial animal. I would like to explain this point. If a leopard has a territory, and this is the leopard territory, and it moves toward a village or residential area in search of food. As soon as it gets its food or prey, so it will eat the prey and again go back to its territory, because it has a fixed territory. So he has to go back to the territory as soon as its requirements are fulfilled. But in case of sloth bear definitely doesn't have a fixed territory like leopards have, but they have a commonly used area. So if a sloth bear from commonly used area moves to an area which is adjacent to a village or residential area in search of food, and it gets its food there, or we can say the factors which other are responsible for attracting bears towards this residential area, if the factors are there and bear is coming towards that area, and if the factors are not removed, then the sloth bear won't go back. The sloth bear will remain in the periphery of that village unless until it is getting what it wants or in search of which things it has come there. So if we want to move the sloth bear back towards this area, commonly used area, then we have to identify the factors which are attracting sloth bears towards that area. Unless until these factors are not removed, sloth bear won't go back to the area. So hence territory use has to be kept in mind when we are dealing or when we are rescuing sloth bears or leopards. Then male and female association during mating period. Leopard is a solitary animal, but can be in pair in mating period, or mother can be with cubs. And compared with sloth bear is a solitary animal also, but in mating season, there may be two or more. And many a times, what I have seen, the maximum number of sloth bears in my field work, I have seen 8 bears, one female and 7 males at a time together during the mating season. So depending on the mating pattern, this has to be kept in mind. And the mating period for sloth bears is June to July, June, July, August, May, June, July. So while in mating period, the rescue teams which are dealing or which are working in the rescue teams have to be very cautious, because they can, while rescuing any sloth bear or working in that sloth bear dominated area, so the rescue team can face 1, 2 or more, or even 5 to 6 sloth bears at a time. So this point has to be always kept in mind while we are working during the mating season or in a sloth bear dominated area. Then cubs with mother. Now, when we see the leopards, leopard cubs remain with their mother for 1 year, and after 1 year, the cub gets separated and establish their individual territories. But in sloth bear, the cubs may remain with the mother for at max 2 to 2.5 years. So when we are working in an human in a sloth bear dominated area, so we always have to keep in mind that if you are seeing 3 sloth bears together, so there is a maximum possibility that excluding the mating season, when you are seeing 2 or 3 bears at a time, so they may be mother and their cubs. The aggression in the behavior. Aggressive encounters are rare, typically limited to defending territories from the intruders in case of leopards. Leopards generally avoid aggression towards humans. Leopards are very intelligent animals, so they know that if they have aggression towards the human, so that may be a problem to survive in an human dominated area or an area near to human dominated area. But in case of sloth bears behavior is totally unpredictable. If it is suddenly coming in front of each other, if the humans and sloth bears are suddenly coming in front of each other, in that condition, there is maximum possibility that the sloth bear may charge. The studies which we conduct on field suggest that if a person suddenly comes in a striking distance of the sloth bear, the striking distance that we commonly see is 10 feet, 10 to 12 feet. So if a person suddenly comes in a range of 10 to 15, in a radius of 10 to 15 feet of the sloth bear, then there is a maximum possibility that the sloth bear may charge. So to avoid sloth bear encounter, this is the most important and very easy method to make your presence noted by the sloth bear. So if the sloth bear is knowing that a person is approaching towards him, so the animal will move from that area. But if you are moving silently in a in a sloth bear dominated area, and suddenly sloth bear encounters, sloth bear comes in front of you, or you come in front of the sloth bear, and you are in the striking distance, then there is a maximum possibility that sloth bear will charge. Then preferred food. If we come across the ecology of the leopards, then a leopard, looking at the food habits, the leopard is a carnivore that prefer medium-sized prey. But in sloth bears, the sloth bear eats mostly berries, fruits, rhizomes, because it is a myrmecophagous and mainly eats insects. So even if we are working, or we are rescuing a sloth bear, or we are working wildlife for wildlife monitoring or sloth bear monitoring in an area, so we should keep in the mind what is the prey list, what is the food list of sloth bear, and where it is available. So there would be maximum possibility that sloth bear may be present in that area. And if that area is adjoining to village or farms, so the localite should be made aware of the movement of the sloth bear, and they should be told to take care. Now, mating season. Looking towards the mating season, the leopards can mate throughout the year. Leopards doesn't, like other cats, leopards doesn't have a fixed mating period. But in sloth bears, sloth bear mating period is very fixed. May, June, July. Mainly these 3 months are considered as mating period for the sloth bears. So as I previously also told, in this period we have to be very cautious while working in an sloth bear dominated area. Cubs are born with closed eyes. The leopard cubs are born with closed eyes, but the cubs' eyes are opened in just 7 to 9 days after birth. But as compared to leopard, sloth bear cubs are also born with closed eyes. But sloth bear cubs open their eyes after birth after a duration of approximate 1 month or 30 days, 25 to 30 days. So the cubs have a longer duration of when their eyes are closed. So if a sloth bear mother give birth to cubs near a village or near a farm, so we have to be very cautious, because the cubs have closed eyes, so they can't move, and there is maximum possibility that the cubs may be detected by the humans who are working in that area, and in such conditions the cubs are killed, and that may lead the mother to be agitated, and that may lead to again human sloth bear conflict. Carrying the newborn cubs. As you always have seen, or you have noted, that leopard mother can carry the cubs in their jaw for a long distance. If a mother senses any danger where the cubs are kept, the mother will move the cubs to another area which is considered. Very protective and aggressive for protecting its cub. If it is the cubs, unless until the cubs are so matured that the cubs will climb on its back and the mother can carry them. So if a sloth bear mother gives birth to cubs near a village or a farm field, so you have to be very cautious, because unless until the eyes are opened and the sloth bear cub is almost not less than 2.5 months, the sloth bear cub cannot climb on mother's back and move. So if the cubbing site is adjoining that village, then the mother will be there for next 2 to 2.5 months. So the local forest staff, localites, the rescue teams have to be aware of these things, and they have to cordon off that area and monitor that area very strictly for the human presence for next 2 to 2.5 months. Now, the unseen story has to be always understood behind the conflict scene. Very rarely, a human sloth bear conflict situation arises instantly or without any alarming sign. Always, when a situation of conflict is there are some alarms or signs that this situation may lead to a conflict. So, we must be able to understand the warning or alarming findings and gradually progression towards a conflict situation in our area. We generally, when we train the rescue teams, we make a gradation for that. We make grades for that. For example, if in an area a sloth bear is sighted, say suppose once in a month, but due to some reason or in a particular period, the sloth bear is sighted every 15 days. Then gradually the sloth bear is sighted every week or 7 to 8 days. And then if the sloth bear is sighted every 4 to 5 days, then this shows that the sloth bear is concentrating in that area. Its movement is being concentrated in that area and it is getting some attraction towards that area. So unless until we don't remove the attraction or the factor which is attracting the sloth bear towards the area, the sloth bear may not move from that area and it may lead to a conflict. If we are living in an area which is just adjoining forest area or fields, farm fields which have movement of a sloth bear, we should accept and understand that the sloth bear will be here and we will also be here, and hence we have to understand the sloth bear ecology for the coexistence. Because unless until we means the local forest staff or the local villagers or the local NGOs who are working in that area. So unless until we don't understand the behavior and ecology of the sloth bear, we won't be able to coexist, and the tolerance rate will gradually decrease. Because what we are seeing in any area, if the tolerance goes down, then the becomes more and more worsens. So we must understand the behavior and ecology and explain to the other villagers also to coexist with them. Due cognizance should be given towards this situation, and the situation analyzed and probable solutions measure to be considered, decided and implemented as directed by the forest department and other experts in this field. Like the work with community awareness Dr. Nishit Dharia has started in the sloth bear dominated area. So this type of community involvement or community awareness is very important if we have to coexist with the sloth bears. Now we will discuss how to identify the cause of sloth bear for being near human dominated landscape. This list is very long. There are almost 26 to 28 points which have to be considered when we are surveying or when we are working in this area. But due to time lacking, we will discuss some very important points which attract sloth bear towards the farms or towards the village. The first point is method and sites used for garbage disposal by the villagers. If the garbage or the food which is left over is discarded in such a way in an open field, then this smell, the food smell, may attract sloth bear toward that area. So if the area is adjoining a forest with sloth bear movement, so in such villages, the local NGOs, local volunteers, local forest staff, local villagers should take care that this type of open garbage disposal should not be there. In such areas, the garbage should be disposed in closed pits. Either it may be under the ground, or there may be closed containers to dispose garbage. So this is one of the most important points which attracts sloth bear towards the village, and that may lead to a conflict situation. Then open defecation. The area which we work on sloth bear mitigation, we have identified this point, and we are seeing that when a human being is sitting in a defecation position like this, and mainly we have seen that most of the human beings go for open defecation in early morning, especially women's. they either go for open defecation in open area either in the early morning or late evening. And if a person is sitting like this, as you all know, sloth bear is having a very poor distant vision. So if the sloth bear moves in that area, because sloth bear also has maximum movement in dawn and dusk, means early morning or late evening, the sloth bear has maximum movement. So if a sloth bear is moving in this area and a person is sitting like this, so and if the sloth bear is not able to recognize, then there may be a close encounter, and this may lead to a sloth bear human conflict. So in such area where sloth bear is having movement, so open defecation should not be allowed, and the villagers should be made aware of this. Then incidents of crop raiding by the sloth bears. In most of the area in Maharashtra, what we are saying that what we are seeing that sloth bear is not very much involved in crop raiding, but in other states, it is reported that the sloth bears are responsible for a major part of the crop raiding. So we have to study and understand and identify the crops which are preferred by sloth bears for eating, and the areas or farms which are adjoining for the forest with sloth bear movement. In these such type of areas, such crops should not be planted. The crop pattern should be changed. Any movement of the wild animal near the water source in and around the farms or the villagers, like what the condition which we are facing right now is, it's a summer season, and in central India there is a lack of water in water holes, perennial water holes in the forest are very low. So the animals have to move outside the forest area in search of water. And in agriculture land or villages, there is ample of water due to irrigation facilities. There is ample of water available in the farms, which also provide a lower temperature. So both these conditions, water availability and lower temperature, attract sloth bear towards the crops. And in many cases, sloth bears are hiding in the day period also in these crops. And the farmer, when goes to the farm to work, there is a sudden encounter, and that leads to a human sloth bear conflict. So this point should be also mentioned and monitored by the local authorities. Cattle grazing pattern that is followed by the communities in that area which is adjoining forest areas should also be monitored. The local grazers should be told to move their cattle not very early in the morning in the forest area or the adjoining forest area, or they have to take their cattle very early before sunset, because during sunset or after the sunset the sloth bear come from its hiding space and the sloth bear starts its move. And if in this condition cattle grazers are coming back, or we have seen many occasions that when cattle grazers come back and if a cattle is missing, so the cattle grazer goes back to the forest in search of that cattle, and in that period or at that time sloth bear is also active, and there is a maximum chance of close encounter, and sloth bear will attack that person or that animal, or that person can be mauled. So the local cattle grazer should also be made aware of these things, and their grazing pattern should be corrected. Then electricity availability for villagers and agriculture activities. So in many areas where electricity is provided in night time, I mean, if that area is adjoining an forest area with sloth bear movement, there is again a chance of close encounter. So the electricity providers should be requested by the authority and the local NGOs that the water for water availability in the crops, the electricity should not be provided only at night, but the electricity should be provided during day only in such areas with sloth bear movement. In Maharashtra, we are working on this in many areas with sloth bear movement, and we have got a very good response from the electricity providers also. And in area where initially the electricity was only provided at night, nowadays electricity is provided during day rather than being provided at night. Then availability of fruits bearing trees like boar, bale, amalthas if these species are near the village or near the crops, near the farms, then there is maximum possibility that sloth bear will be attracted towards these fruit bearing trees during the fruiting season. So the local forest authorities and localites and NGOs should be made aware of these things. And plantation, fruit bearing plantation, the fruit species which is preferred in that area by that particular area sloth bear. So such type of species should be planted inside the forest area rather than being planted adjoining to the farms or adjoining to the village area, so that the fruit availability is inside the forest and the sloth bear doesn't move outside the forest area. Then proper SOPs, standard operational procedures, have to be drafted and followed by all the forest departments of different states and the local authorities. And these SOPs should be also shared with local NGOs also. In Maharashtra, I am very happy to tell you that Maharashtra is the first state to draft an SOP, standard operational procedure, to deal with human sloth bear conflicts, and how in different conditions what should be the approach by the forest department rescue teams or by the local authorities. This SOP was drafted 2 years back, and this has been circulated throughout the state. And now MOF is also coming with an SOP which will be on the national level, that has been drafted by the IUCN BS specialist group. Dr. Nishit Dharia and Dr. Harendra Bargali were the key persons to draft this SOP on national level. Then formation of primary response teams. Primary response teams have to be initially made in this area where sloth bear movement is there and which may lead to conflicts. Primary response teams mainly are made on the village level. Every village should have 1 or 2 PRTs depending on the population of that area or that village. These PRTs consist of youths who are interested to work along with NGOs and other forest department for sloth bear mitigation. So these youths should be identified and they should be trained for sign encounter surveys, and they should be explained the bear ecology and other things which will help them to monitor the movement of the sloth bear, because rescue teams or the forest department may not be possible to concentrate with the same intensity in all area. But if these PRTs are formed in these areas and they start monitoring the areas and report to the forest department or the local authorities or local NGOs who can act as a mediator between these PRTs and the forest department. So these types of these PRTs are very useful. This concept I have already seen in Gujarat, which is near in Gir forest area, Gir National Park, in the area which is adjoining Gir National Park. They have a concept of Vanamitra, which is very effective. And on this base only, we started PRTs in Maharashtra, and we are getting very good response from the PRTs. And the sharing has been very fast due to these PRTs between the local authorities and the forest department. Then establishing a rapid response unit. We here in Maharashtra state are working extensively on establishing and training and making the RRUs well equipped with all the instruments. And we are very thanks to our senior authorities and keen interest taken by our current Chief Wildlife Warden of Maharashtra State, Mr. Nitin Kakotkar sir, and also his predecessors, Mr. A.K. Mishra sir, as well as Mr. Bhagwan sir. All have taken very good interest in this, and due to that, this only in Maharashtra, we are having rapid response units established, trained, and well equipped in many areas, and in other areas we are working on that. We have 6 tiger reserves. All the 6 tiger reserves have their independent teams, and we have 11 territorial circles, and all the territorial circles are also having a very We are also going to start such type of trainings and establishing rescue teams in Gujarat also with collaboration with Gujarat Forest Department. Immediate response is very crucial to manage any conflict situation. The photographs, what I am saying, what I'm, which are why I am showing, these are the training sessions. We have a fixed training module under which these rescue teams are trained. A trained rapid response unit or RRU consists of an officer not below a rank of range forest officer, one qualified veterinarian, and a minimum 5 trained supportive staff, which may be identified from the conflict prone area. Each forest division should have at least one team, but if the division is very big in geographical area, so they may have more than 2 or 3 rapid response units. The protocol for emergency response should be periodically rehearsed and reviewed to incorporate corrective measures to make it more efficient. Establishing such well rapid response unit that respond effectively and quick to conflict situation will help diffuse the usual public outrage and relationship that invariably follow such conflict. RRUs are considered to be face of the forest department because in other conditions the staff doesn't act with the forest department directly. They are directly are not involved with the local people. But these type of rescue situations or conflict situations are directly related with the common man. So if a forest department or the rescue teams give good result in such situation, then definitely it helps to improve the image of the forest department with aspect of the common man. So nowadays what we are seeing, even Dr. Satyakumar also insisted yesterday in his talk about the rapid response unit or the RRTs, means rapid response teams. Dr. Satyakumar also said that these are the key. These rapid response units plays a very key role in dealing with such type of conflict situations. This is a very interesting the photograph which you must be seeing that a sloth bear is on a tree and a dart is being darted on that animal. This was an incident where a sloth bear climbed a tree and he was standing on a bark and he was eating honey from an hole inside the tree, and the hand was inside the hole, and suddenly the bark on which it was standing, it break and the sloth bear fall. The break fall and the sloth bear fall down, but his hand which was inside the hole got stuck and the sloth bear was just hanging with its hand in that hole. So we first tried to rescue it physically, but ultimately then we had to, because the hand was stuck in that hole and the sloth bear was hanging, so it was not able to take out its hand from the hole. So we had to chemical restraint or tranquilize that sloth bear, and it was then carried down like this. This is the, you can see the hole in which there was a honeycomb, and the sloth bear was trying to eat when the bark on which it was starting, that it broke and the sloth bear was stuck. So to deal with such type of rescue situations very efficiently and very fastly, you have to have a rapid response unit which is well equipped, well trained in all aspects. Then proper instruments are also very useful to deal with such type of rescue units to deal with such type of situations. For this, you have to have a very good vehicle which should be specially designed to deal with such type of rescue conditions. We have these type of vehicles for our rapid response units, which are specially modified and designed for the rescue units which are continuously dealing with such type of situations. Then again, trap camera, tranquilizing guns, shields. Then these type of specially designed cages. These type of cages are designed by us here in Maharashtra, and Dr. Nishit Dharia is also guiding us for these type of designs. And nowadays, these type of sloth bear trap cages are also used in Gujarat state, and we are getting a very good response by the rescue teams to use these cages. because this design, what we have designed, initially we had to had a rectangular or a square type of cage. And when we have to trap a sloth bear, so what we used to see that sloth bear doesn't enter a rectangular or a square shaped cage very easily. So we change the design and we make it a dome like. So when a sloth bear sees this cage during night, when a bait is in that, a bait is kept in that cage, and the sloth bear sees it from in front, so it appears to it like a den. This is a type of treatment cage which is used for sloth bear. So here you can see when a sloth bear sees this type of cage with a round roof, so it appears to it like a den. So it enters the cage very easily and it gets trapped in that trap cage. So we are very efficiently using these cages, and now we are trying that more and more rescue teams should use these type of cages. All the rescue units should be well equipped. You can see here our rescue team is displaying all the rescue instruments what we are having to the officers. All these are the IFS officers from different divisions from Maharashtra state. They visit our rescue office, they visit our stores to where all the rescue instruments are displayed. Even if any team from any part of India wants to visit to our rescue office and see all these protocols and this, they are always welcome. System which we have installed on this type of cages. So these cages are very easy to use, very efficient and very effective. Now we will discuss some avoidable rescues of sloth bears. A cub without its mother usually doesn't need rescue, as the mother in such type of conditions leaves the cub when she goes in search of food. Equally, cub released without its mother have poor survival probabilities. So whenever we encounter a bear cub in any farm or adjoining the farm, it shouldn't be disturbed, as the mother must be nearby and it may come back and take the bear. So if we find such type of bears, so it shouldn't be disturbed and kept as they are. If a cub are found alone, a watch must be kept for their mother without disturbing them by keeping a distance or having a machan on the tree or parking a vehicle at a safer distance. We just should watch that the mother gets the cub and goes back to its area. Cubs are not to be released but should be reunited with their mother. Even if we get a cub or a villager brings a cub to the forest office and says that we have got this cub, so the rescue team shouldn't release that cub but that the cub should be reunited with the mother. There is a reunion procedure or protocol which we follow for the rescue teams, through which the cubs can be reunited with its mother, because reuniting should be attempted immediately in the night in the same area from where they are picked by a suitable camera trap placed overnight near the reunion site would facilitate the confirmation of the reunion. Cubs that are hand reared in captive have a negligible possibility of future release back to the wild, because nowadays there is no as such study. We are planning to have that study in Maharashtra, but currently there is no study conducted for rewilding of sloth bears. Like rewilding is done for tigers on a large scale. Many successful cases are there of rewilding of tigers, but there is no such study on rewilding of sloth bears. So we should try that the cubs should be with their mother, because the care that the sloth bear mother can provide to the cub, no any medical facility or veterinary facility can provide that cub, because lifetime care is the only suitable option for such cubs, since their release in the wild even after a long-term rehabilitation process may only worsen the already existing conflict situation. Because if the cub is not hand reared by the mother, so the bear may land the bear when introduced back to the wildlife area. So it may not use properly the available resources, and it may move towards the villages or near the forage villages, which may again lead to a conflict. So thank you for this opportunity. And the take-home message what I want to tell is coexistence is the only way to live in harmony. Thank you all.
Thank you, Swapnil. It was so informative and so nice talk. And it is so nice to have you here live directly from Amravati. I really thankful to you. And on behalf of all the organizers and supporters of this event, Bears of India, I would like to thank you. And I wish that you continue your work of training the forest staff, training the volunteers, and rescuing the bears. And yeah, you are very right that there is a need for the rewilding a sloth bear cub when we have the sloth bear cub abundant when we find them. And surely we will develop some kind of guidelines for how to rewild the sloth bear in the wild. So thank you, Swapnil. Thank you for being with us. My dear viewers, now we have the another talk on the advanced research technology for the bear conservation. As we know that uh, everything is advancing, all research and technologies are advancing, and there are several issues with the bear research, particularly for the sloth bear and Asiatic black bear and sun bear. Like generally, all the bears are black in color, and there are very few chances that we can identify the individual sloth bear or individual black bear through camera traps or through direct observation. At that time, there is a need to identify the individual bear using some other techniques. Even you might have heard from Dr. Harendra's talk that we don't have the exact population of sloth bear in our country. We don't have the exact population estimation of the black bear even in our country. And for this, there is a need for extensive population monitoring and management program. And for that, only the genetical exercise or genetics can help us. So we have Dr. Prachi Thate. Prachi is a bear researcher. She is a member of the Sloth Bear expert team, and she has done her PhD from NCBS, Bangalore, and she worked on all three big carnivores, tigers, leopards, and sloth bear in the central Indian landscape. And she did a very good genetic experiments. Currently, I and Prachi, we are also working together in the landscape of Gujarat and Rajasthan, and we are trying to establish the corridors between Rajasthan and Gujarat for the sloth bear. And we are also trying to do some population abundance experiments using genetical exercise. So Prachi will talk about how genetics can be a very good tool for bear conservation. Currently, Prachi is working with WWF India in Delhi, and she is also volunteering her membership as a sloth bear expert team in IUCN. So Prachi, I welcome you on behalf of all of us, and I'm sure that viewers would be highlighted by your talk. And many of our viewers are the students. They are young students or young researchers in the field of wildlife, or they wanted to do some research on wildlife using some advanced technology. So I'm sure that your talk would be a pathfinder for these young researchers of India, and we will all will enjoy your talk. So I welcome you, Prachi, and please proceed with your talk.
Thank you, Nishit, and thank you, WCB Lab, for organizing this series of webinars to celebrate the International Bear Day. And thank you all for being here today. Over the last few days, we've heard talks on the 4 species of bears found in India, their ecology, conservation status, and the challenges that they face. Today, I'm going to talk about some of the methods, specifically genetic tools that are used to study bear population and inform their conservation and management. I currently work with WWF India, but a lot of the work that I'll be presenting as a part of this talk was carried out at NCBS Bangalore while I was working there over the last few years in central and western India. Um, this photo that you see is from central India, from a tiger reserve called Vadodara Tiger Reserve. There's a small road that passes through the tiger reserve, and being inside a protected area, the traffic on this road is restricted. So not just this sloth bear family, but several species living inside the forest routinely cross this road. But the scenario is not the same outside the tiger reserve or outside any other protected area in India. There are agricultural fields, there are highways with heavy traffic, there are urban areas right next to protected areas and forest patches. And often animals are unable to navigate through these human modified landscapes. And this has impacts on wild population. This is not specific to Central India or India. It's a global phenomenon. And this recent study that looked at habitat fragmentation across the natural landscapes globally found that several of the natural landscapes are highly fragmented, indicated by warm colors on this map. And this degradation and fragmentation has resulted in range decline in most mammals. Another recent study that looked at large carnivore ranges and how they have changed over the past, including bear species, have found that most species have undergone um, substantial declines compared to their historical ranges. The blue boxes in this graph are the bear species that were studied, including the 4 species that are found in India, and they have undergone 40 to 60% decline compared to their historical range. And what remains of the range, in most cases, is highly fragmented. Fragmentation has negative impacts on populations of several wild species. And I'll try and illustrate the impacts of fragmentation using these cartoon illustrations. The green area in this illustration is represents a large continuous natural habitat patch, which is home to several individuals of a large population of wild species, a bear in this case. As a landscape, a natural landscape is converted into agriculture or used for urbanization, it gets fragmented. That not only reduces the total amount of habitat that is available, but also makes the habitat patchy. This has impact on the population of the resides in these fragments. So one's continuous population is subdivided into smaller populations. These populations are embedded in a matrix, a human modified matrix. It could be agriculture, it could be roads and infrastructure, or it could be urban areas. It differs in different areas. Some species are able to navigate through this matrix to cross over to other patches, while some species are unable to navigate through the matrix. This movement through the matrix to reach another patch is essential to maintain genetic exchange between these different fragments of a population. Genetic exchange and movement is essential to maintain a healthy population and maintain the genetic diversity that is required for long-term survival. Movement can happen through habitat corridors or also sometimes through the matrix. For example, tigers um, can cross agricultural fields to move to another forest patch and another population, which is slightly further away from its home population. Some species can move through the matrix, while some others need forested corridors to move. In both cases, the movement can maintain genetic exchange, and hence the populations can persist for a long time. In cases where this connectivity is lost, or further conversion isolates habitat patches, the small isolated patches are at a risk of getting extinct. The right bottom patch in this figure is small and is isolated, has lost connection. This results in both demographic and genetic consequences. Small isolated populations have smaller fluctuating population sizes, and the sex ratio of the individuals, the males and females in the population, the sex ratio also gets skewed, which then results in extinction of the population. Genetic consequences are also detrimental in case of small isolated population. These populations face high impacts of genetic drift, which result in loss of genetic variation. Genetic drift happens when just by chance some individuals don't get a chance to mate and can't pass on their genes to the next generation. Thus, the variation, the overall variation in genes is lost in these smaller populations. Also, these small populations are susceptible to mating among related individuals because they can't exchange individuals with other populations. They end up mating within themselves, and this can lead to inbreeding depression, which basically is reduced reproductive potential due to defects that are developed due to mating with related individuals. And both inbreeding depression and low genetic variation can result in extinction of these populations. So fragmentation and isolation has several sometimes severe impacts on wild populations, and these impacts have been documented in several species worldwide. One of the very well-known examples of impact of isolation is the Florida panther. Once found across a large landscape in the southern United States, the population of the species is currently restricted to a small purple patch shown in the map, which is in the southeastern corner of the United States. The lavender area represents the historical distribution of this population. It is so isolated that the closest population of panthers is more than 1,500 kilometers away. So there's no natural connectivity to that population, and this is a completely isolated population. Due to this isolation, the population started crashing over time. The number of individuals reduced, and the population also had inbreeding depression. Several offsprings had low sperm count and started developing heart defects, and that had impact on the fitness of population. So both genetic and demographic consequences were seen in this population. Around 1995, park managers and researchers realized that this population needs rescuing because there's no natural connectivity. So they brought in 8 females from the closest population, which is Texas, and introduced in this population. And 1995 onwards, as you can see in the graph, the both population size and genetic diversity increase. Genetic diversity, HE here, is a measure of genetic diversity, which varies between 0 and 1. Here it's a percentage, so it varies on the y-axis between 1 and 100. And post 1995, after individuals were introduced, the population bounced back. Currently, there are around 200 Florida panthers, and the population is doing well. But this was due to artificial supplementation of genes from outside. it's not just the Florida panthers that are isolated. The black bear population in Florida is also isolated. A recent study that used genetic samples from black bears in central Florida found that the genetic diversity of this population was much lower. Again, genetic diversity varies between 0 and 1. And here, 0.45 is low compared to the other population in northern parts of the United States, where there are large and connected black bear populations with more than 0.7 heterozygosity. So this is again an isolated population in Florida. And along with genetic impacts, it also has skewed sex ratio and low density, which indicates that this is on the verge of deteriorating. So genetic data helps in understanding how well the populations are doing. What is the health of the population? And looking at genetic variation in combination with sex ratio and density can inform management and the conservation actions that are needed for the species. So along with understanding how well the populations are doing, whether they are isolated from other populations, genetic data can also be used to understand how landscape features are impacting connectivity. For populations that are not as isolated as this Florida population, they're closer to each other, but the landscape in between might still impact connectivity. If there are roads between two protected areas of forest patches versus agriculture or other human modified landscape, that may still hamper movement of species. And it's important to understand how these landscape features impact movement and connectivity. Genetic data in combination with spatial statistics and landscape ecology tools can be useful for understanding these impacts. There are several studies in brown and black bears that have been carried out in North America and Europe to understand impacts of landscape features. A couple of studies from North America suggest that roads have a high negative impact on black bear movement, and contiguous forest patches at mid elevation aid movement or connectivity of sloth bears. So these are very specific insights which can then help in management of species. While there are several studies in Europe and North America, there are very few studies on bears in the Indian subcontinent, and there's very little data on sloth bears in particular. So, as a part of our research, what we did was we looked at impact of fragmentation on sloth bears. We wanted to understand what is the genetic variation in sloth bears, what is the genetic structure essentially in a fragmented population. Are there certain protected areas or forest fragments that are completely isolated from other areas genetically? And also understand the impact of landscape features on connectivity. We carried out this study in central India, which is a stronghold in terms of sloth bear distribution and abundance. The green areas in this map represent forested areas, and the black outlines are the protected areas. For those who know this landscape, are familiar with this landscape, the PAN protected area in the north is the Panna Tiger Reserve, and bottom right UST is the Udanti-Sita Nadi Tiger Reserve in Chhattisgarh towards Orissa border. So this is a large landscape where we carried out the study, and we collected samples not only inside protected areas but also territorial forest divisions outside protected areas, because several bear populations are actually also present outside protected areas in central India. What we did was we walked on trails and roads and collected sloth bear poop samples. Scats are a good source of DNA, a non-invasive source of DNA. A lot of studies, the black bear studies in the previous slides also use non-invasive sources of DNA like hair and scat. Blood is another source of DNA, but often collecting blood from wild animals is not possible as it involves capturing of those animals. So hair and scat are commonly used sources of non-invasive DNA. So we collected these cat samples from forested areas, trails, and roads. We brought them back to the lab at NCBS and extracted DNA and genetically confirmed the species and generated genetic data to identify individuals. Sometimes the scats we collected on a trail belong to the same individual. So, say if we got 10 scats on a trail, 2 or 3 of them might belong to the same individual at the scats that we found at different locations. So what we did then was we removed these recaptures or these duplicate samples and we did only individual samples to carry out further analysis. What we found was genetic diversity was moderate for sloth bears in central India. Out of the area sample, none of the areas was completely genetically isolated. This is represented in this figure. The protected areas are again in black, forest, and green, and the polygons, which are colored, represent genetic makeup of the population. The different colors represent variation in the genetic makeup. Although there are some different colored polygons, there's a lot of overlap. So the DNA, the sloth bears are still connected in this landscape. There's movement in this landscape and they are widely distributed in the landscape. Another study which was carried out a few years before our study by Trishna Datta et al. Also found a moderate level of genetic diversity and migration or movement between 4 protected areas that they looked at. So while there's while the protected areas look slightly genetically different from each other, they still are exchanging some migrants in central India. So there's some bit of connectivity there. Along with understanding whether populations are isolated, we also wanted to understand how specific landscape features impact connectivity. Here in this map, green areas represent forest, black ones are again protected areas, yellow areas are agriculture, and brown or maroon areas are urban and semi-urban areas. We wanted to understand how each of these impact connectivity. There are also roads on this map which are crisscrossing through the landscape but not clearly visible here. So we wanted to understand impact of each of these different landscape variables and what is the cost associated with crossing these landscape features. Can a bear easily cross a road, or is there a cost associated with, say, being killed on roads, which then results in road being a barrier? So we wanted to understand this. I'll explain cost a little more with an example. Imagine a Malabar giant squirrel. For it to cross a 1 kilometer patch of forest is much easier as it's an arboreal species than crossing a 1 kilometer patch of grassland, due to associated predation risk. So there's a risk of moving through suboptimal habitat. There's a cost associated with moving through suboptimal habitat. And this, of course, is species specific. What it is for giant squirrel is very different from what it would be for sloth bear. And we wanted to understand the cost of crossing, say, agriculture or roads for sloth bears. We carried out the study not just for sloth bears, but we also wanted to understand how 3 other species, tigers, leopard, and jungle cats, are impacted by the same landscape features. So in central India, given the current amount of fragmentation, where there are several protected areas at varying distances from each other, how are these different species impacted? And if they are impacted differently, probably their management and conservation also needs different approaches. So we try to understand the impact of land cover, human population density, traffic on roads, and railway lines and density of linear features on movement of all these 4 species. I won't go into details of the methods, but I'll be happy to answer questions later, if any. So we wanted to understand what is the cost associated with these features and the shape parameter. What we found was sloth bears were impacted by human settlement. However, the overall impact of landscape features on sloth bears was low. This is likely due to the fact that sloth bears are widely distributed in central India. The 2014 population estimation of tigers, the Tiger Census report, also looked at co-predators, including bears, and they found that sloth bears were more widely distributed than leopards and tigers in central India. So this wide distribution has an impact on the connectivity between protected areas. It's not just restricted to protected areas, but also forests outside. Um, Tigers, on the other hand, were impacted by urban areas and high traffic roads. They could easily cross agricultural fields and low traffic roads, and this is corroborated by other studies. But only urban areas and high traffic roads impacted tiger movement. While leopards, not just high traffic roads, medium traffic roads and high traffic roads both impacted leopard movement. And we see many more road kills of leopards and jungle cats than tigers on these highways. Jungle cats, like sloth bears, had lower impact of landscape features, and this again could be possibly due to the wide distribution in the landscape. So to summarize, sloth bears had moderate genetic variation. In central India, there were no isolated populations, genetically isolated populations, and overall there was a low impact of landscape features on connectivity, probably due to high population size and wide distribution of sloth bears. While we have carried out a detailed study of sloth bears, this is restricted to only one landscape. So to understand the general impact of landscape features on sloth bears, we need to replicate this study in a few other landscapes. The other three species of bears found in India have very little genetic data from the subcontinent. Asiatic black bear is distributed throughout from Western Himalayas, Himachal Pradesh to Arunachal Pradesh. It's widely distributed, but we have very little genetic data. One study that is from Nepal looks at genetic diversity and finds that the bears have high genetic diversity. However, this is from a small part of central Nepal. Another study close home is from Thailand. The study wanted to understand the impact of the road, the highway 304 labeled in this map, if it has impact on movement of black bears across either side, populations on the either side. Overall, they found that the genetic diversity in both the populations was high, and the road did seem to have an impact. It seemed to reduce movement of individuals. They've established corridors recently, and they plan to use this study as a baseline to monitor populations in the future, which would be great for understanding the impact of the road further. There's a recent very nice study on brown bear genetics and impact of fragmentation on brown bears in Asia. The researchers used samples from Mongolia, including Gobi Desert, northern parts of Mongolia, and Himalayan black bear samples. The bar plot that you see on the top is a structure plot. Each, the 1 to 8 are the populations labeled in the map below. And each bar within the population is one individual. The color of the bar represents genetic makeup of the individual. At a glance, you can see populations 7 and 8 are blocks of the same color. All the individuals within these populations are of the same color. So they are genetically distinct and very similar to each other. There's no mixture between Himalayan brown bears, which is 7 in the bar plot, and any other populations in the study. Same is the case with Gobi bears. They're genetically very distinct. However, the northern Mongolia populations have a lot of mixture between the several populations that were sampled. And this is likely because Northern Mongolia populations are connected to populations in Russia, China, and Kazakhstan. So there's a lot of genetic exchange between these populations, and that results in the mixture of colors in blocks 1 to 6. The samples of Himalayan bears in this study were from Pakistan. There's also a population of brown bears in India, but we have no genetic information from the Indian population, and so we don't know whether it's connected to the population in Pakistan and how well is it connected. So that's a data gap we need to address in the near future. Sun bears also have fewer genetic studies, although widely distributed in Southeast Asia and Northeast India. There are very few genetic studies. One study that was done in Cambodia wanted to understand the impact of non-habitat. The pink areas here are the areas where there are no sun bears in Cambodia. The green areas are where there are resident population, and the blue areas are the areas where probably populations exist. So researchers worked in these blue and green areas, collected genetic samples of sun bears, and they wanted to understand whether eastern and western Cambodia populations that are separated by the pink area, whether they are genetically connected or isolated from each other. This plot A is again a structure plot, a similar bar plot what was there in the brown bear study. Each bar represents one individual, and you can see, and the color of the individual is the genetic makeup. You can see eastern populations on the map below are darker blue, and the western populations are lighter blue, suggesting that they are genetically getting isolated from each other. They are genetically becoming different from each other. The researchers found that sun bears also had moderate genetic diversity, like the sloth bear population that we studied, and Andean black bears also have similar moderate genetic diversity. While the brown bear populations, which were connected in northern Mongolia, had high genetic diversity, and so did the Asiatic black bear populations from Thailand and Nepal. So, impact of fragmentation can be studied using genetic data, but along with impacts of fragmentation, population estimation, density estimation, and monitoring population dynamics can also be carried out using genetic tools. Especially important for species like the 4 bear species found in India, which don't have markings on their body that can be used for individually identifying them. We have tiger census in India every 4 years, and extensive camera trapping exercises carried out across different habitats in India. Camera trapping is a fantastic tool for estimating population size of tigers because the stripe pattern is unique. Each tiger has a unique stripe pattern. Sloth bears and other bears do not have such unique patterns on their coat. Some of the bears do have unique facial patterns, but camera traps don't always capture those patterns. So it's difficult to use camera trapping for monitoring population. And genetics and DNA can provide a good alternative in this case. While they're used regularly in North America and Europe for brown and black bear monitoring, we don't have any studies in India, and especially on sloth bears. So we don't know how well these genetic tools would work for sloth bears. So what we did was we carried out an exercise to estimate population size of sloth bears in Mount Abu Wildlife Sanctuary, which is in Rajasthan. This sanctuary, around 350 square kilometers, is known to have high density of sloth bear populations. So we wanted to use genetic tools to find out what the density and population size is. what we did was we mapped out trails on in this protected areas and walked on those trails 4 times over a course of 1 month and collected cat samples. So we walked repeatedly on the same trail to ensure that we collect samples from all individuals. The analysis that is done for data using for genetic data is very similar to camera trap analysis, where individuals are identified using stripe patterns, say for tigers, or leopard patterns. So the methods are similar, just that here individual identification is done using genetics. And what we found from preliminary data is encouraging. We found 792 scats, out of which 723 were confirmed to be bears and provided some genetic data. 560 provided complete genetic data, but these 560 samples have a lot of duplicates or recaptures because we walked on the same trail 4 times. We have several duplicates. We are likely to have several duplicate samples, and currently we are identifying unique individuals from this data set. But overall, the success rate of DNA amplification and data generation was very high, and the missing data was low, and so was the genotyping error. So this is a promising approach for monitoring sloth bear population in India. This needs to be tried for the other bear populations of sun bears and brown bears and black bears. But for sloth bears, it seems like a promising approach. Along with population monitoring, impacts of fragmentation, genetic tools are also very useful to understand what the species are eating. Traditional diet analysis is done using scat samples. The scats are washed, the contents of the scats are checked and noted down, weighed, and the proportions are calculated. But sometimes what happens, say for brown bears that eat a lot of plant material, when you wash scat and look at the remains, all you can say is it has eaten grass or some plant material. It's very difficult to identify species, and that's where genetics comes for rescue. By using probes that target plant DNA, we can identify the species of grasses and plants that these bears use. Similarly, for sloth bears that feed on termites, we don't really know which species of termites are eaten by sloth bears. Resource distribution, be it termites or grass, is important to understand how species are distributed and forms an important part of ecology of the species. And hence, using these genetic methods to look at diet can be useful for understanding distribution and resource relationships. These were just a few examples of genetic tools that are used in studying populations, but overall there's a dearth of genetic information on bears in the Indian subcontinent, and we need to start using more genetic tools for monitoring populations. They work very well for sloth bears, so it's potentially a tool that can be used for regular monitoring. I also gave an example of diet analysis, but along with diet analysis, genetic tools are also used for forensics and understanding disease ecology in wild animals. While a lot of genetic data that I presented in this talk was from microsatellites, a kind of markers which has repeat regions present in the genome, we globally and across species people are moving from genetics or microsatellite based data analysis to genomics, which is whole genome sequences and single nucleotide polymorphism SNPs. They provide much more information on the genetic composition of the species and are more powerful to understand impacts of fragmentation and provide more insights on inbreeding. So currently, these tools are being developed at a couple of labs in India, and hopefully we'll also be moving from genetics to genomics for bear species. Thank you. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Prachi. It was wonderful talk and it was very inspirative. Like we have many young researchers viewing this talk, viewing this entire program live on YouTube, and I'm sure that they are inspired by your talk. Guys, you can contact Dr. Prachi Thate anytime through the Sloth Bear expert team or directly to Prachi. She is based in Delhi and she worked with WWF India. Prachi, on behalf of IUCN Bear Specialist Group, my research lab, WCB Research Lab, Vadodara Wildlife Division, Century Nature Foundation, and the Corbett Foundation, as an organizers of these talk series of Bears of India, I would like to extend a words of gratitude and thanks to you for this wonderful talk and giving your time and being live from Delhi. Thank you, Prachi. So friends, now we are moving towards the end of this celebration of International Bear Day and end of this lecture series, talk series on Bears of India. Today is the last day, final day. And as a part of our Sloth Bear Conservation Outreach Program, I would like to invite you all to visit the outreach center that we have formed at Ratan Mahal Wildlife Sanctuary in central Gujarat, where we have designed a conservation outreach center exclusively for sloth bear. And the main objective behind constructing this center is to promote the coexistence between human and the sloth bear. The center is right at the Ratan Mahal Wildlife Sanctuary with our partner Vadodara Wildlife Division and the Forest Department of Gujarat State. So maybe within a month, the center would be on full-fledged. All our researchers, our team members, and the forest staff, field staff of Ratan Mahal Wildlife Sanctuary would be there. So I really welcome you all to visit this center. And before you visit this center, I will take an opportunity to take your few more minutes, around 10 minutes, to give you the glimpses of this conservation outreach center for the sloth bear that we have in the Vadodara Wildlife Division. So let us have a brief presentation, and I just wanted to brief you that why we have started this outreach center, what are the objectives behind this outreach center, and how the outreach center is working. So let us have a brief presentation from my side before we end up to this bear lecture series. So our program is the community outreach program to promote the human sloth bear coexistence in the central Gujarat. This is a model kind of a project, and we are also planning, like with the Forest Department of Gujarat State, we are also planning to initiate the similar kind of outreach center and similar kind of program in other sloth bear areas or sloth bear sanctuaries of Gujarat, as well as we can also do the same in the neighboring states like Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, and Rajasthan. So this program, outreach program, is in a partnership with my research lab, our university, Hemchandracharya North Gujarat University, and Vadodara Wildlife Division. You can see here, this is the landscape of Gujarat where you can find the sloth bear. So most of the sloth bear population is found in the northern, northeastern, and central to the south part of Gujarat. And the situation is the sloth bear habitat or sloth bear population are very close to the human habitat. So it is very often that sloth bear comes towards the human settlement or human areas. And when sloth bear visit the village or the human dominated areas, all the villagers come together and they start opposing the presence of sloth bear. They start complaining to the forest department, you take away the sloth bear from here, otherwise we'll kill the sloth bear. And this is happening everywhere where there is not a protected area, or where there is the territorial forest and the human settlement are very close to the sloth bear. And it happens sometime that the forest department in the territorial area, they are not much equipped with the cages and the rescue equipments, and sometimes there is a chance that bear can attack on human. So what we have done, we have started the conservation awareness program with the villagers of the North Gujarat, Northeast Gujarat, in partnership with the forest department. And our awareness program were mostly towards the villages with the tribals. So my research team members, my research scholars, they go to every village, they have meeting with the forest staff, they have meeting with the villagers, they have meeting with the village heads, and we aware people about the sloth bear, the ecology of the sloth bear, the behavior of the sloth bear, and the areas where they can find sloth bear, the areas where there are more activities of the sloth bear, and we aware them about the forest department scheme of compensation. So how they can apply for the compensation, when they cannot apply for the compensation, and how they can get the compensation from the forest department. So this works went very well in the northern part of Gujarat. And then we have worked we have studied the corridor of sloth bear in the state, throughout the state. And then we have found that there are several areas which is not under the wildlife protected areas like sanctuary or national park, and there are still sloth bear population, and these areas have more number of sloth bear attacks or sloth bear human conflict cases. And for that, we cannot say humans to leave the area, we cannot say sloth bear to don't come to the villages. So the only option for us is the coexistence. So we need to promote the coexistence between the humans and the sloth bear. We have also learned in last 4 talks from Dr. Satyakumar, from Dr. Bipan Rathore, Janmajay, and from Dr. Dev Garshal's talk, and even Harindra has also rightly said that if we want to conserve the sloth bear population, if we want to conserve the sloth bear habitat, the only thing is we have to create the essence of coexistence between human and the sloth bear. So to promote this sloth bear and human coexistence, our university and my research lab, we have signed an MOU with Forest Department of Gujarat State, and we have jointly started the program with Vadodara Wildlife Division, which is called as the Conservation Outreach Program. The program is also supported by IUCN Bear Specialist Group, ESA Bear Tech, Leipzig Zoo in Germany, and the European Association of Zoos and Aquarium. So they are technically helping us in developing several things, like developing the material, awareness material, education material, conservation material. So we are getting help from all these our collaborators. So name of our outreach program is Atmavat Sarvabhuteshu. That means let us coexist with the wildlife. So with that name and with that program, we have started the outreach program. The basic objective or the basic protocol of our program is the cross-sector collaboration to coexist or to save both human and the sloth bear. And for that, we have started the approach of education and outreach. So we'll do bear safety education that will decrease the conflict. This is what our hypothesis, that if we start the bear safety education among the tribals, among the local people living around the sloth bear habitat, it will decrease the conflict, and it will also increase the tolerance of local people towards the sloth bear, and that helps to the sloth bear conservation. We are also going to start the ecology and awareness education among the forest staff, among the researchers, and among the young students and young school children of the villages around the sloth bear habitat. That will create the positive attitude among the human who are living around the sloth bear habitat, and that will again help with the sloth bear conservation. So this is the overall approach of our conservation outreach program. We have already started, the program is already launched in the Ratan Mahal Wildlife Sanctuary along with the Vadodara Wildlife Division. So myself and the Deputy Conservator of Forest, Dr. Dhaval Gadvi, we are working together and we are coordinating this project. And under us, we have 4 more research staff and awareness staff. They are working on this project. We have started this project back in 2019 when we have published a very small booklet, but very informative booklet for the forest staff. And we have distributed this booklet to among all the forest staff working in the sloth bear landscape of Gujarat. And this booklet is about the how to deal with the sloth bear and how to work in the sloth bear landscape. So how to monitor sloth bear population in the sloth bear landscape. Similarly, we have released another booklet, and this booklet is for the tribals, local people, and the tourists who are visiting the sloth bear area. The booklet is bilingual. It is available in Gujarati, local language, as well as in English. So even tourists can use this booklet. And this booklet contains all the basic and scientific information about sloth bear, some tricks to deal with the sloth bear, some tricks to avoid the sloth bear and human sloth bear attacks and sloth bear human conflicts. Along with this booklet, we have also released one short documentary film, a documentary film of 6 minutes that is prepared by our research team. And we have released this film in 3 languages, English, Gujarati, and Hindi. We are also preparing the same film in Marathi also. And all the films are available free of charge, free of cost on YouTube channel, our YouTube channel. So you can see, you can download this film for you. Even you can download this booklet. And if you want to translate it into your language, let us know so we can also help you to translate the booklet also. So we are going to start in this community outreach center, we are going to start the student education program. So we will visit all the schools among the villages, and we will develop a student curricula which is focusing the sloth bear and leopard ecology, and we will teach the students, their teachers, and the other villagers about that. We will also do the forest officers and forest field staff workshop for the rescue of sloth bear, for the sloth bear monitoring, and the recent techniques of the sloth bear monitoring. We will also train the teachers of that area. So after the completion of the project, when we leave, the project will go on with the teachers and the other stakeholders. So we have already started. You can see here the Conservation Outreach Center is almost about to finish. This is the release of our video. And during this program, or in this program, we have also requested, and we are very grateful to Mr. Amitabh Bachchan, because he has promoted this program and he has given his promotive message for the coexistence with the sloth bear. You can see here, this is the school children from the villages around the Ratan Mahal Wildlife Sanctuary from the central Gujarat, and our volunteers and our team members, our research scholar, they are giving a talk on the sloth bear. They are also encouraging students for different activity about the sloth bear. You can see here our students are also going to the school also, and they also do the same program over there with the students. So here is the video message by Amitabh Bachchan to promote the sloth bear conservation. Let's watch it.
नमस्कार, मैं हूं अमिताभ बच्चन। ये हमारे लिए अत्यंत गर्व की बात है कि स्लॉथ बेयर, जिसे हम अपनी भाषा में भालू कहते हैं, स्लॉथ बेयर केवल भारतीय उपमहाद्वीप में पाए जाते हैं। उनके पास भी ईश्वर के द्वारा रचित धरती पर निर्भयता से जीने का अधिकार है। अतः आइए हम सब मिलकर भारत के भालुओं के लिए ये संकल्प करें कि हम उनकी और उनके आवास की रक्षा करें तथा समाज में भालू के साथ सह अस्तित्व की भावना बनाए रखें। अनेक
So friends, this is a very encouraging program, and we are getting very encouraging response from everyone. I would like to thank to my research team. These are all my students and these are all my collaborators. That includes IUCN Bear Specialist Group, ISRO, Rufford's Foundation, IUCN Red List Assessment, Gujarat Forest Department, Wildlife SOS, my university and International Bear Association called IBA. So these are all our partners who have helped us for this long-term research project on sloth bear. If you have any questions or if you want to collaborate or if you want to work with us or if you want to help conservation outreach program, you can feel free to write us to any of us, myself or Dr. Dhaval Gadvi. And we have our email is there, and you can also write us. You can also contact us for more details, or if you want to join us, or if you want to help us through donation or for any other help. So this is the end of our 4-day program on Bears of India as a part of the International Bear Day celebration. And for this lecture series on the Bears of India, for its successful operation and successful completion, first of all, I would like to thank one of the most important person behind all these things, and he is my student, Sachin. So I thank you, Sachin, for this wonderful organization, because none of us are much aware about the live telecast and getting everyone live over here. So I thank you, Sachin, for this. And he has done a wonderful job. On the behalf of all the partners organization, I would like to thank to the experts, IUCN Bear Specialist Group and the experts. First of all, I would like to thank the co-chair of Bear Specialist Group, Dr. Dave Garshalis, because he was live from Minnesota. So he gave us a time and he spared time for us. I would like to thank Dr. S. Satyakumar, who has given his talk on Asiatic black bear. I would like to thank my colleague and my co-chair, Dr. Harendra Singh Bargali, for his talk on sloth bear. I sincerely thank Bipan Rathod for giving his talk on brown bear, to Janmajay Shetty for giving his talk on the sun bear, and my colleague and my friends Prachi and Swapnil. They are from the sloth bear expert team, and they have given a wonderful talk on sloth bear rescue and the genetic tool as in the conservation science. So I thank all the speakers for this international event and for this very, very important event in India and very first event in India on bears, that is Bears of India. I thank all my supporters, IUCN Bear Specialist Group, the Corbett Foundation, and the Century Nature Foundation for promotion of this event and supporting us in this event for their encouragement and support. So I thank you, Dr. Parvish Pandya from Century Nature Foundation. I thank Dr. Harendra Singh Bargali and Kedar Gore from the Corbett Foundation. And I once again thank Dr. Dave Garshalis and Robert Steinmetz from the IUCN Bear Specialist Group. Not the least, not the last, but the least, but I would thank to all the viewers who have actively participated in this program and who have encouraged us by viewing more and more viewing this program on our channel. This is not a stop, friends. We are very soon, we are going to start the series on the lecture series or the talk series on all the important mammals of India, all the important mammals of our state, Gujarat state, then our India, and we will invite more and more experts from our country as well as from the international level, and we will continue this program. So you can subscribe our channel called Wildlife and Conservation Biology channel. If you want to see our sloth bear film, it is available on all the 3 languages, English, Hindi and Gujarati. It is available on our channel also. You can view and you can download and you can share that sloth bear documentary film with others, because this is the first ever sloth bear documentary film which is available in India. So you can share it, you can download it, it is free. You can also download the sloth bear booklet that we have developed. And if you need any help for the developing research protocol, for the monitoring sloth bear or any other bear species in India, you are always welcome to contact us. You are always welcome to collaborate with us. Thank you very much for being with us live for all 5 days. I wish you all the best. I wish you to stay safe at your home. And we all wish and we all pray to Almighty that we will come out from this corona outbreak very, very soon. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.